to see you still fighting for freedom for us all, and so that we may live a more dignified life, and so that the planet can survive these crazy systems is amazing. And you all really do give us hope. And I feel that anyone who learns of your stories and of your struggles, we have more hope and more faith. And seeing you ladies, it looks like you have been out here doing self-care and healing, and like y'all gonna tell me about a face mask or something that I need to do. You know, you come out from in there where they really tried everything to break your spirit, and you look better than most of us out here. So that says so much. That is so just, you know, testament to your spirit, to your faith, your conviction, and to your love. And I'm just very honored to be here and to see you all here.
It already changed. This is the
That's
first
beautiful.
time y'all getting to talk. Yeah.
Hey, Mumia, on the move. House and Suzanne, where you hook this up at?
Y'all look wonderful. I've seen the pictures in the paper. I've read the interviews and so forth. And a whole lot of people never believed this day would come. But we're here now.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. So, long live John Africa. Long live the power. Yeah. Long live the power that pulls all things together. What were the greatest challenges for you sisters during that incredible bid?
The greatest challenges for us was being separated from our family and being wrongly accused, being innocent and being in prison for something that we didn't do and something that this government knows we didn't do. They know that they shot and killed Officer Ramp and sent us to prison 30 to 100 years for nothing, because they wanted the quiet move. They wanted to stop the MOVE organization. They wanted to stop the power and the teaching of John Africa, which they have not done, will not do, and MOVE is continuing to put out information, continuing to be strong, continuing to fight John Africa's revolution.
I hope you received from the entire movement the applause, the affection, the love that all of you so richly deserve.
Mumia, since we came out of here, we have gotten plenty of it.
What have you seen since you got out that you can't believe? And I know it's kind of crazy. I mean, but tell me about when you look at society, what blows your mind?
All of this technology. that is, we still getting a grasp on. Yes, all of this technology. But really what is really impressing us, Mumia, is to actually see the faces of the power that's been being fueled to help us get released. You know, we've heard names, we've gotten letters, but we're actually seeing this force and feeling all of the love and the appreciation they have for the work we've had to do for 41 years. That and that's something I don't miss. But yeah, but you know, we have been being welcomed so warmly that it's just touching our hearts.
All right. Well, let me ask this question. What message do you think for the young generation who are so deeply involved in technology and
cell phones and stuff like that, that they barely talk to people. What message would he have for them?
Well, it's kind of understandable because that's how the system does people. That's how it holds on to people and keep people diverted from what's really going on. But at this point, the only thing we could do is set the example to show the young people what's really important, what really makes you free, what really makes you happy. And we can't do anything but be the example. And when they fall, they can look at us and see how to stand up and keep going.
Good. All right.
Plus, Mumia, I
Okay,
just want...
now talk about the young people. Huh?
Yeah, I'm talking about the young people, too. John Africa
What
teaches
about-
us... Wait, go ahead,
Yeah,
you
but
go.
what about the older people who are part of movements who haven't seen this, you know, in their own movements? This move is in many ways unlike other movements. We know that. What is it about move that other movements can learn and grow from to strengthen their movements?
Well, I think basically people can just go back when To Move first came above ground and they saw the examples of Move and what we did, places that we demonstrated, things that we did. We protected animals. We demonstrated at places to protect women. We protected the rights of the water, the oil, the air, the soil. And Move was doing this years ago. In 1970, Move was protecting animals. You know, they talked about animal shelters now, and everybody is adamant about protecting life. John Africa taught us this back in the 70s. We were doing this. Some guy back in the 70s was saying they're supposed to be revolutionaries. What are they doing demonstrating against zoos? What are they doing, you know, demonstrating against people who are circuses? Because Move was protecting life. That is what John Africa teach us. All those animals and the Move demonstrated for their rights, it's all over. Everybody's doing what John Africa had set an example for in the 70s, that how we were fighting for women's rights, you know, how we were fighting for the air, the water. We'd protest against the oil refinery. The people are saying they're revolutionaries. What are they doing out there? But now people are so involved in the atmosphere, you know, everybody wants to do something about it now, but John Africa was telling people this a long time ago, and a long time ago they was calling us crazy, but now everybody's doing it. Or when we was eating raw food, when our diet was to eat raw food, give our children raw food, people saw that as crazy, but everybody's doing it now. And when we face people now, they say, I understand what the purpose was about back then, but I didn't understand it then. And a lot of them are apologizing for the way that they mistreated Move for doing the things that they were doing, and people are still trying to catch up with John Africa. John Africa is still moving. That example you see in us will never stop. I'm saying we want to teach our children, yeah, this is the technology that they have today, but you don't have to become a slave to that technology. Sure, you can use it, but don't perpetuate it. You know, don't believe that it's your heart and soul. You know, we are taught to protect and defend life.
All right. Well, listen, I'm on another brother's time. I don't want to chop his time up. So I want to thank y'all for being there. It's a pleasure to hear y'all's voices. It's a pleasure to know that you're there instead of in the joint. I love you all. On the move. Long live John Africa. And long live the power that pulls all things together.
The caller has hung up.
All these years, Mumia has worked to be a voice of the people. Now we have to work to help Mumia get his sight back so he can see.
You know, that was a surprise. Mumia had contacted me late last night saying that the guard put a note under his door saying that he will not be able to be on the phone today. And no explanation. They said they had no room. He said he would try, but he thought it was highly unlikely that he'd be on, so I'm shocked that he got through. So another round of applause for this great victory. So is this, Janine and Janet, isn't this the first time you've spoken to him? Yes. That's what I thought. The first time. The first time.
And say a couple words of why you're here.
Okay, sure. I'm here because this is so important. I went to see Mumia on July 4th. I wanted to do something patriotic, and I had a very deep, involved 3-hour conversation with Mumia. And we're here because we have to always confront this system. We have to confront the empire. So the fact is that the 13th Amendment did not end slavery. It just evolved from being private plantation owners to state-sponsored slavery. Now, we know that Mumia is innocent. We know that he is now a victim of cruel and unusual punishment, which is a violation of the 8th Amendment to the Constitution. So we know that this DOC does not believe in the Constitution. This government, Mr. Wetzel and Mr. Wolf, have taken life and quality of life in their own hands, and they don't have a right to do that. They're in violation. So a federal court and a local court have already found the DOC negligible, liable in its hepatitis case. Mumia told me that he cannot see to read. He can see to get around, but not see to read, and that's very important.
To start, I think a lot of you do know at least some of the history and know that the bombing on May 13th, 1985 was not the only confrontation that took place with MOVE, that there were dozens of them way before, and that in fact the one where the MOVE 9 all ended up being in prison for so many decades happened starting in 1978. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. And Janine and Janet at that time were in their 20s with children living in this collective household and being attacked by the Philadelphia police and all its machinations during that time, which led to their going to prison. The stories I've heard from them have been mind-blowing. So the story that both of you told, that I've heard you talk about, what happened when the police came in into the Powelton Village house that you were living in, what you did with the children and yourselves, and how you were taken to prison from there. If you could tell a little bit about that so that the audience gets the feel, because I start shaking when you tell those stories. And I keep saying, I keep being blown away by their heroism, as they talk about what they describe often as just ordinary actions for survival. But these ordinary actions are tremendous lessons for all of us, and I wish you'd start by sharing some of them.
Everybody saw the arrest August 8th, but nobody knows what went on in that house except for us. You know, we were in the basement, and over 500 cops and firemen lined up outside of that house at 3 in the morning. And they knocked out all our windows, tore down our fence, tore down our platform, drilled holes in the floor above us, and stationed themselves around the whole house and started opening fire. And all we could do was hold our children as close to us as we could and wait to be shot down, because that's how they came at us. They had a deluge hose that was so powerful, was picking up the 6-foot railroad ties that was part of our fence and throwing them back in the window like they were toothpicks. They had the water so high up that the children had to stand on our backs and on our legs so that they wouldn't drown. And when that didn't flush us out, they start pouring in smoke canisters and tear gas that was later told to us that it was an instant death mechanism, because once that smoke and water mixed, it cuts your breath off instantly. And that's what happened. And when they did that, it felt like that was our last breath that we was taking, our last breath that our children were taking. We sat there and we watched the bullet sparks fly off the walls next to us. You're just seeing them, sparks where you see the gunshot. And we sat there until we heard one of the men say, "Get the women and children out." And we couldn't see a hand in front of us. I couldn't even see the baby I was holding because of the smoke. So only because of John Africa, I made it out of that house and was surrounded by police officers snatching our babies and laughing, talking about how good little mothers we were, you know. And when we went to court and saw the film, they filmed the whole thing. The time that we was coming up out the basement, the cops were still shooting. We didn't know it. So it's only because of the power of John Africa that we made it out of that building alive with our children.
Long live John Africa. I want everybody to know the reason that they did this to us is because of the position that we took against this system, against police brutality, against what they were doing to animals, what they were doing to the water, the soil, the air. Move was innocent. We were not guilty of anything. The only thing that Move was guilty of was exposing this system for people to see what it was. They did not want that. They didn't want people to see what they were really about. That's why they used the news media to cover it up, to make it look like Move was dirty, Move was crazy, because then people would say, well, they got what they deserved. But we did not get what we deserved. We got what they wanted to give us to fool people into thinking that that's what we deserved when we didn't. And in that basement, like Janine said, it's an experience that nobody could ever imagine. When I was in that basement, and I'm not very tall, when they shot in the smoke and the gas, you couldn't see anything, you couldn't hear anything. And I had 2 children with me. And being short as I was, I just got up. The water, they shot water, and the water came up to here on me. So what I did was like this, and the 2 children stood right here on me to keep their heads and their noses above water. And these people that were trying to kill us, the cops, the firemen, they knew there was children in that basement. They knew there was innocent people in that basement, but they kept on shooting water, they kept on shooting bullets, they kept on shooting smoke, just kept on and on and on and would not stop. I was standing there, and I had the kids, and I started breathing, and I couldn't breathe anymore, and I felt like I was breathing my last breath. I'm serious, y'all. I felt like that was going to be it. I was going to die in there like that, and then the air cleared. I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not saying this just for y'all to say, oh my goodness. That air cleared, and the only thing that that could be was the power of God, the power of John Africa that kept me alive from that basement. Because I know what it feels like to be in that position, because I had been in the hospital before, and they had given me some antibiotics, and those antibiotics they gave me was taking my breath away, and the people in the hospital had to give me something to revive me. And that same way that I felt in that hospital as my breath was leaving my body is the same way that I felt down in that basement. So I know I felt the power of God, the power of John Africa in my life. That is why I'm so committed and so loyal to John Africa, because if it was not for my belief, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I would be dead thanks to the cops in Philadelphia. And Suzanne, I cannot take away from May 13th, because my family was in that house May 13th, 1985, and they were fighting for what we were arrested for in 1978. And in doing that, our family had exhausted every avenue to get us out of jail, because they sentenced us 30 to 100 years in prison, because one cop was shot with 1 bullet. They charged 9 of us with the death of 1 cop. The cop was standing on the corner against the pole. Move people are down in the basement facing that cop. He got shot in the back of the head, and the bullet traveled downward. It would have been impossible for Move to have shot that cop, and they know it. Everybody knew it. Even the cops knew it. In trial, they knew it. But because they wanted to get Move off the street, because they wanted to lock us up, because they wanted to stop John Africa's teaching, they charged 11 of us with the death of that cop. But they let 3 of them go because they were Move members. They said they wasn't committed Move members, so they let them go. But those of us, the 9 that said we were committed MOVE members, they kept us in jail. So the point wasn't keeping MOVE in jail because we was guilty. The point was, the fact was, they kept MOVE in jail because we were committed to John Africa. And we want everybody to know that we will never stop giving our life to this struggle because people need what John Africa has to give. And we are setting that example for people to do that. You know, so people can live life the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? But we can't because of this system. But I mean, it's going to take generations, but we can start now. We can start taking baby steps, and people can do little things that help the air, little things that help the water, little things that help the soil, because we need those things to sustain our life. And you go to the store, you pay money for any item that you buy. But Mama, the earth, what we call Mama, is feeding us, is giving us water. But we don't want to pay her. We don't want to pay her not putting all those pollutants in the air, the water, the soil. But you pay the grocery store. We got to pay Mama back, too, for giving us the breath of life that we have in us. And just like everybody wants to say, thank you, Janet, thank you, Janine, thank you, MOVE, it's just like saying thank you to the air that's still in your lungs. How do you thank the water that quenches your thirst? Because it's always there. How you thank the food that fills you and nourishes you. This is what John Africa does for us. You know, it looks like us on the outside because we did an activity to show people what can be done to strengthen themselves so they don't have to become slaves to this system. And all we have to do is just work together. Give it to our children because we need it. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs the air. Everybody needs the water. Everybody needs the soil. But we have to give back the same way that we give back to those stores that we go to and pay them for what we want. You know, it's not asking much for something that's keeping us alive. And that is what John Africa teach. This is the example that you see in us. When you say how good we look, it's because of John Africa's teaching. When you say that we don't look like we've been away, that's because of John Africa's teaching, because we're setting an example, y'all, for people to follow, for people to see that it can be done. Nobody's asking people to jump out there and do things overnight because the sun don't come up overnight. Grass don't grow overnight. It's gradual. It takes time. I mean, but it has to start somewhere. And let's start now. Let's start with the children. Let's start with the work so we don't have to be slaves to this system. You know, we don't have to bow down to something that is not right, that's not keeping us healthy. You know what I mean? We don't have to do that. And that example we showed y'all for the 41 years shows you that we don't have to do it. We stood up against a system, y'all. We refused to say that we was guilty when we was innocent, and they refused to let us out of jail. We got denied over and over and over and over. Even the people that run this system know that we were innocent. But despite that, they still kept us in jail, still did things that they felt like would break us, to make us feel like we would leave MOVE. But it didn't work, and they had to let us out. And they're not happy about it at all. And they're not happy that we're talking to y'all. But we're saying, everybody, take your time, listen to what we're saying, use these examples, and get strong. Don't let them enslave you. Don't let them imprison you, because the bars of that prison ain't just inside the prison. You know what I mean? They're out here too. So, you know, just keep on doing your work, keep on moving, and things will be good.
He tried to get us to give him the petitions. And we asked for his ID. He had a 2018 ID that said staff. It had no significance to anything.
Excuse me, you can't hold this door open. I have to shut up. Excuse me.
Don't push me. Don't touch me.
No, let me just say something.
You can say, excuse me, but don't touch me. Do you understand?
I'm sorry. I'm a decorated veteran. I appreciate I'm a paratrooper. I'm also an ex-cop. I'm a decorated cop. This is horrible. This is no respect for the Constitution. No respect for people that have served this country. No respect for people that exercise their right. All we want to do, we're not coming up here to blow. We're not terrorists.
I get it.
We're just coming here to deliver. We like to talk to one. It could be the person that's next to the janitor.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
I'm Pastor Keith Collins.
Pastor Collins.
I'm
Can I
just-
call you
that's
Pastor
all we- And the
Collins?
gentleman already told us that we could do it. So how things keep changing?
Listen, I
I know it's not up to you.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Where is
I'm
the
not
gentleman
involved
we
up there.
talked to? Where is he?
They
He's
came in,
gone.
tell me to come out here and say hi to you. I came out here to say hi to you.
Where did he
Understand?
go? The guy who disappeared, who
Ma'am, I
was
don't
talking
know.
to us.
Here's what happens. I'm here for both ends. I
I
understand
understand.
to protect their rights as well as your rights. So you're saying I didn't not following the
So have him come
Constitution.
out.
Well, that's not
Well,
true.
I said you don't just don't.
Wait, we had that gentleman, we want him out.
But anyway,
His name was Smith?
Go ahead, Clay.
Anyway,
You got
they
it
do
from
have the
him.
ability to deny access to
Okay, so
whomever
could you
they
get Mr.
choose
Smith
at
to
any
come,
time. They have that ability, just like we do at the state capitol. Now, understand that that's governed by whoever manages this building.
Right.
Okay.
Who gave him that
So-
ability?
I would imagine the governor, ma'am, that's something you'd have to take
I mean,
up
I would
with them.
imagine the people.
We're not even
who pay
asking
their
for a meeting.
salary.
We just want to go in and hand
And-
deliver
and I
it
understand
so we
that.
know it was done.
And he was willing to take your stuff from you there.
Out here.
but we don't know what's gonna happen to
We
it.
wanted the
I'm-
dignity,
I
we wanted
appreciate
the
that.
dignity of being able to sit down and make a few points. Because
that.
this is a gentleman, Mumia Abu Jamal, in case you don't know, who was very, very ill 2 years ago
Mm-hmm.
and nearly died because the Department of Corrections was insisting that it was not going to give him the medicine that we knew could cure him. And he then was left, he was finally treated, but he was left with vestiges of that illness. So he still has skin problems. He has,
Constant itching.
what is the illness that he got?
Hepatitis.
Hep C,
Cirrhosis.
cirrhosis of the liver.
He got over the hep C, he had cirrhosis of the liver because of and he just won a ruling in the court a few days ago that the Department of Corrections has to account for why they did not give him treatment.
Okay.
They cannot say that it was too expensive. That is
Okay.
not legal. So he just won that hearing about the last time he was sick. We were
Okay.
here then and warned you all that this was not going to, not
Please
you.
don't put me in the same boat.
I'm not, okay, I don't mean you personally. Warn the Department of Corrections that if they are going to stonewall it and not give him the treatment, they will not hear the end of this case. Well, the judge ruled in his favor. He got the treatment, as have hundreds of other people in the prison system as a result of that. And now the brother has a new illness. He needs cataract surgery. And you all, not you personally, the Department of Corrections is taking its time. We are not going to wait till he is half blind before we see treatment for him. We want that treatment now. That's why we're here. Unless we come here, this agency doesn't do its job. It doesn't treat its inmates like they're people. It denies treatment that every citizen is entitled to. And so we are here to let you know you're not going to hear the end of this. Wetzel can go all over the country and present himself as a liberal. We will follow him and let everybody know that he's a criminal when it comes to providing services to the inmates that he's responsible. He is criminally responsible for not doing what he's supposed to do. And when you guys, not you personally, your superiors decide to close these doors and pretend you're busy doing what? More murders acts? What you're doing inside is not positive. What Wetzel has you doing is not positive. We know that lots and lots of people are sick in the prisons. Lots of people are not getting the treatment they deserve. That the whole policy of the prisons is ridiculously backward and anti-human. So at the very least, Mr. Smith called whoever, and whoever told him that we can't come inside. You go tell whoever that we want one of them to come here.
You
And
understand,
otherwise,
I don't have that ability.
well, one of you call Mr. Smith.
I just spoke with Mr. Smith, and he'll take your petition, and that's all he can do is take your petition.
So who gave
He's
him-
going to come out and get it?
He can come out and get it, yes.
Who gave him the orders that he can't
I don't know.
sit down?
I don't know.
Well, find out who. I want to know the name. Excuse
It's not
me.
my,
This gentleman, I want to know.
I'm the supervisor, ma'am.
You're the supervisor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I thought his gray hair.
No, I cut mine short so it hides it, dear.
Okay, so you are the supervisor.
I am.
So, Supervisor Cuccia,
Yes, ma'am.
we would like you,
Thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
we would like you, we respect all cultures, and we try to be respectful in our behavior.
Okay.
more than the Department of Corrections shows us.
And I
A
understand
group
that.
of many people with different backgrounds, different ethnic groups, different professions, different roles in life and in society. All of us managed to take a day off. I know you're very, very busy inside. We are also busy. We managed to take the day off from our work, our business, our responsibility families, because we want a Mumia Abu Jamal to get the treatment he's entitled to.
And I appreciate that. And you say
I don't want
you're diverse
appreciation.
and you come
We
respectful.
don't want appreciation, we want action.
Okay, I've given you the opportunity to talk. At the very least, in courtesy, you could give me the opportunity.
Absolutely, go ahead.
No,
Ma'am, no.
Hold up.
You
Hold
cannot.
up. Hold up.
You cannot. That's done. We're not even discussing that anymore. Understand that, as a, I don't know if you made an appointment. I have no idea if that's been done. I will. From my understanding, and understand that I'm not getting this from up high. This is coming down through channels, and this is what we want. Okay. I have no other recourse for you besides that.
Sergeant
The only
Cuccia,
thing I can say is
Make another
if you
appointment.
have
No, we've
if
done
you
this.
have
You gotta
Look,
go in and make
we've
appointment.
done this before, okay? So we've done this before. So listen to me for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Sergeant Cuccia. So our practice has been, they knew we were coming. They knew the press was coming. We announced it. It was not a secret. So we could call and ask for an appointment, but that's BS. They knew we were coming. And in the past, we have shown up and people have met with us. One or two people sometimes. One time it was the head of the press office. Send us the press office. She's not everybody's working full time, nonstop,
I
so that
understand
they
what you're
can't
saying,
afford 5 minutes to sit and listen to our
It sounds
arguments.
like instead of taking your grievance to me and I can't do anything, you might need to take it the next level, who would be the governor's, because the Secretary
We are
Wetzel
here.
sits on.
We are here, and we
I
expect
understand
you
it.
to do your job and
I
call
am.
the governor.
That's
call
not my
Wetzel.
job. That's way outside my job.
Whose job is it to call
That's-
Wetzel or the
that's-
governor or somebody
That's
to
not my
provide us
job.
with what we know
That's-
is due process, which is the
understand that.
citizens have a right for
You can
redress.
take your grievance. The only way I could see how up the chain of command, and that would be the governor of the state
Well, the
of the
governor's
Commonwealth
in
of
Harrisburg.
Pennsylvania.
We've been there.
I understand.
And when we get there, they'll say he's not here. So we need to have him reached from here.
Well, I don't have the ability to do
authority.
that. I do not,
Has
actually.
the authority to call somebody other than
Or
yourself.
just go in there and talk to somebody on the in-office phone.
I've already been given my instructions. I have
Well, check
no need to
again.
go any
Say
further.
we're not leaving.
But how about the instructions of the public?
people out
How about the instructions of the public? You got instructions from him, but how about instructions from us?
You're arguing with what you have the right
All
to
right, so
protest.
she has the right,
Okay,
one person
you're not
going.
gonna
We're
listen.
asking you to please go inside
And
and call
I already
them
told you
again.
I'm not going to do that.
Well, then you're not doing your job.
That's not true. I've
So
done
don't
my
tell
job.
us, no, if you tell us that you have nothing to do with it, you have a choice. You can go back inside right now
Mm-hmm.
and call again and say, I know these people are a pain in the neck, they refuse to leave. We don't care if you refer to us as pain in the neck.
Oh, I wouldn't do
Say,
that.
the people are here, do not want to leave because they want recognition of this serious moment in the case of an individual who is the responsibility of the Department of Corrections. They'll have another legal suit on their hands.
And-
They already have a legal
and that's
suit on their
fine.
hands that
Which
they're
they lost.
losing. The
I
governor saying
understand
blah,
that.
blah, 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 blah. He is pissed off that we've gone this far. The courts have ruled, essentially, that when they denied Mumia Abu Jamal, let me repeat it so you all understand it, those of you who have the leadership role or not. The courts ruled a few days ago that Mumia Abu Jamal's complaint that he was denied medical care for his hepatitis C condition, which was life-threatening. He was denied medical care for 2 years while we fought like we are right here. We were here over that case, too. We were here, we were all at the governor's office. We've been all over. They got the message, and the way we got the treatment was precisely by coming to every place where people did not want us. We know you don't want us. We know your bosses don't want us. But we're here to save our brother's life and his vision. And we know that if we don't fight for him,
What the court said is what one word that you listen, that they deliberately, deliberately withheld. So I'm saying this is a criminal case. and
Exactly.
that they're
Which
dealing
needs to be
with.
taken up at
But
the
at the
court
same
level.
time,
It can't
you
be
know, in
taken up at
Germany,
the-
the lower people on the totem pole were considered in the end responsible for collaborating with the Nazi regime. You should just know, being on a lower level does not deny you the responsibility to do the
Yeah, I have
right
no
thing.
responsibility as far as taking care of prisoners. I don't. I have a responsibility to the citizens of Pennsylvania in two factions right now. One is to carry out what they deem to protect their building and their premises.
The building?
Two, the
We're
second
talking
one
about
is,
life, not a building.
the second one is to carry out your right to protest, which you are absolutely entitled to. You're entitled to do that. You're not entitled to do it in the way and manner in which you see fit. Okay?
Well, who
that's what you're not entitled to. Now, that's determined by the Supreme Court. You have a time, place, and manner in which you can do your things. That's based on the Supreme Court. That's based on the Supreme Court, ma'am, and I'm still talking. So you have the time right now to deliver your...
We disagree with you.
And that's fine. You're allowed to disagree.
If we had
But the
listened
second...
to all the people like you who said we couldn't come here back 2 years ago, Mumia would be dead today.
Right.
Mumia Abu Jamal
But you took your
would
case
be
to
dead.
the court.
No. We
You
came,
took your case
we
to the
came
court.
here and made a
The
fuss.
court
So
is
your
what
boss,
gave you
Wetzel,
the-
who is seen all over the country...
He's not my boss.
Well, oh, you're coming from the local police station?
No, ma'am. I
where
work
are you
for the
from?
Pennsylvania Capitol Police.
Okay.
Wetzel is not my
So,
boss, ma'am.
Wetzel has a reputation all over as doing good and being, he speaks at Harvard and Yale and places like that.
I don't know what his reputation
We know,
is.
we do know. And his reputation is going to be dragged into the gutter by not providing the surgery that Mumia Abu Jamal needs.
Okay,
Just as we
again,
had to do this.
There's nothing I can do about that. We can do one of two things.
Okay, we
you
don't need
can
to-
deliver your petitions to the
We don't
gentleman
need to
who's
hear.
willing
We
to come
want
out.
you to go back
I'm not
and
going
call
to do
them
that.
again.
I'm not going to do that.
He's the one who came out here first and spoke
He
to us.
came out to receive your
Before, about a
petitions.
half hour ago.
But
Did you give it to him?
He had ID that was invalid.
It wasn't invalid. It was from
2018.
2018. This doesn't make it
Excuse
invalid.
me, if I went to go into one of your places and had an ID that said 2018, I
Listen,
wouldn't be able to get in there.
I'm not going to speak to
saying
his
this
ID.
ain't our
He
law.
told you who he was.
This is yours.
He's a major with special
no,
operations.
It said staff, period. It didn't say major.
He told you
I
his
didn't see
position.
that.
He
And
told you his
he could
position. He told you his position. He willingly
Why did he run away?
offered to accept. He was willing. Okay. Are you recording him?
And why did he run away?
Okay, then I'm sure he's not
Why
lying
did
to
he
you.
run away?
What he's doing is
Why
offering
is
to
he
take
not
your
here?
petition.
Why
Pardon?
did he say valid ID? We want Mr. Smith.
I don't know his personality.
We
I'm
want
just
Mr.
saying he probably
Smith.
isn't.
We want Mr. Smith.
No.
We want Mr.
If he
Smith.
comes out, he'll come out.
We want Mr. Smith.
Are you going to deliver
We
your
want Mr.
petitions?
Smith. We want Mr.
Do you want
Smith.
us? Are you going to
We
give him your
want Mr.
petitions?
Smith. We want Mr. 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 Smith.
Valid ID.
With his right. We want Mr. Smith. We want Mr. Smith. We want Mr. Smith. We want Mr. Smith. We want Mr. Smith.
Ma'am?
We want Mr. Smith.
The original plan was to let you and another lady and the pastor come in, the three of you, sign in and sign the book. You'll get screened, remember? Well, I know, ma'am, and I asked you if you wanted to be screened and you ignored me. Yes, ma'am. So I would have you sign, I would have you sign in.
Okay.
And then, one at a time,
Okay.
sign in, and then you have to go through the screening process.
So they're agreeing to let three of us go through the screening process, and that should open up the door for us to get in. Okay? All right, I'll go in first.
And then,
Hi, Mr. Smith, everybody. Mr. Smith.
People don't stop.
Say what? Ain't no power. Because the power of people don't stop. Say what? Ain't no power.
No, we're going
People don't stop. Ain't no power like the power of people, because the power of people don't stop.
I'm here to get your.
He just told us
And
just
he can't, this gentleman just told me I can come and get screened.
I said the original plan
Yeah,
was
well, that's
to let three
yeah,
people.
well, that's no. There,
Why is the original plan not good?
because Mr. Barnacle left. I don't know what that what he
Well,
talked
so
about.
we-
Ma'am, I'm apologize. I'm here to get your petitions. If you.
But can't we sit down for
No,
a few
ma'am.
minutes,
I'm
right
here.
in the lobby?
I'm here to get your petitions. The sergeant said that you were willing to tell me your grievance right here.
Yes, and this gentleman just told us we can go through the screening.
I said the original plan was the three of you.
I am here to get your petitions. That's it.
And we have
I'm
it on
sorry.
camera, and you said that we can go ahead and do so now as well.
That's what we said. Everything changes all the time. So we'd like to change it in a positive direction. Could you call your bosses and ask them to come and sit down with you for a few minutes? Call them again.
Listen,
All
I'm
they
here to
gotta
get the
do is
petitions.
receive the petition, so we don't wanna be up here either.
Yeah, so that's all I'm here for.
So why don't we sit down and get right down?
Listen,
If we sit down, we will give you the petitions.
All the way in Washington, they receive.
Go and check it out. We will give you the petitions right inside.
I'm
We do
willing
not
to
want to
take
give
those
them.
petitions
No, we're
right
not
here.
going to give them
I'm
to you.
sorry,
here.
I'm going to walk in. Sorry.
So call your bosses. Mr. Smith, call your bosses. Mr. Smith, call your bosses.
Mr. Smith, call your bosses. Mr. Smith, call your bosses.
Mr. Smith,
Call your bosses.
Mr. Smith,
Call your bosses.
Mr. Smith,
Call your bosses.
Mr. Smith, call your bosses. Mr. Smith, call your bosses. Mr. Smith, call your bosses. Mr. Smith, call your bosses. Call your bosses. Mr. Smith,
call your bosses.
and get a new ID.
Where it's supposed to be a public thing.
Get a valid ID.
And all we're asking is to deliver these petitions to some official in there, a person of authority to take the petition. One guy that came out here, they said that he was the person we turned over. We asked to see his ID. His ID was 2018, and it just said staff.
So we don't know who he is.
This over to an official of authority. I'm saying it's not like they didn't know that we were coming.
Right.
They've had phone calls for 2 weeks letting them know that we was coming. The media was here before we got here. The media was in Philadelphia before we can get to, and they're waiting to find out what's happening. And I'm saying we have not been disrupted or anything.
They're tax-paying citizens. To tell Mr. Smith to call his bosses. Because all we need to do is sit down and we'll hand him the petitions and explain why we're here. Because he hasn't listened at all. Okay? He's just acting like a machine.
So you want me to tell Mr. Smith to call his bosses? and have-
Yeah, get permission for us to come inside and we'll hand him the petitions right inside.
Let's go viral.
think he
And
told
because
me.
we got a situation here where 3-panel federal judges stated, that
All we want to
the
do is
Department
go
of
inside.
Correction is in violation. They deliberately withheld, health care for Mumia, and they're doing it again. Mumia can barely see. He was blind 2 weeks ago because they was giving him steroids that took his vision away. And I'm saying, they want us to stand out here and pretend some game with them. They got the wrong people here. We're demanding. Suzanne, don't push past them.
Don't push past it.
Suzanne.
You're not going in the building. I'm sorry. That is what it is. It's been laid out.
People.
Did you give him your petitions when he was out here?
No.
No.
All right, then you lost your opportunity.
No, because, hold up, 1 minute. He was not the person to get the petitions to. He did not have valid ID. He had an ID from 2018.
Great.
It said staff.
You had
It
your
did not
opportunity.
say any authority.
Okay.
No, we did not have an opportunity. That y'all are recorded live around the world. No, that lie cannot wash here. And we're asking people right now, please, let people know, send this viral. This is a dangerous situation that we're dealing with here. We're not at home. We're way up in somebody's damn land where it's a swamp on the other side of the street. But we're demanding justice.
And respect.
Yes, right, respect.
Land out just for
You know, we didn't come in here, disruptive or anything. We're demanding for someone in authority to take these petitions with a valid ID and sign for them. But instead, on our way in fact, there was only 3 people that was going in.
We don't want you to take it.
We want
We want
someone else to
Mr.
come.
Smith
You asked
with
for
a valid
Mr. Smith, I
ID.
gave you Mr. Smith.
Somebody with
Why
valid
is it so
ID.
hard
to get somebody in authority?
And Mr. Smith
Exactly.
comes away
I know
every
there's
minute.
somebody in there with authority. Why is it so hard
that
to get
work
somebody
for the
with authority?
DLC.
And Mr. Smith is obviously
Respect
afraid of us or his
taxpaying
bosses
citizens.
because he keeps running away. So
Because he's not someone in authority.
maybe because he's worried about his,
Y'all got a
his,
glossary of staff
ID being inadequate.
I can't. I don't. That's all we ask, and I don't see what the problem is.
How we can tell who's
Nobody with authority wants to come out and accept the petition.
Yeah. Wait, y'all got
That's
a
all we ask.
glossary of
Is somebody
staff?
in authority to come out and accept the petition.
Request.
Your
See,
bosses are
one
gonna
person
just
can't
when
go
you-
in there
their names
to the
go
front
all over
desk?
the world.
In the visitor's entrance, she can't go in? No. So we've been denied to go in the building? That's correct. In the visitors in a public building?
So you mean this is a building not for visitors? This should be changed.
Why are we not allowed in a public building?
Are we not allowed to have a reason why we can't come in?
You are. Just take orders and don't ask any questions.
You guys work for citizens.
You should be responsible to us.
You don't only work for Governor Wolf.
I can understand if you say, okay, all of us can't go in. We have a problem. Our problem is that we want to see somebody in authority. Okay, we all don't want to go in. We want to send somebody in to go to the front desk in a public building that says visitors entrance and go talk to someone besides the police to ask them why we can't, or she can't, or three can't talk to them about giving out some petitions.
You sound so unreasonable.
That don't even sound, that's not even right.
It would be the same thing if I came as our request is perfectly reasonable. You guys, this institution is being unreasonable. It's not us. You are being unreasonable.
Pretty sure they
Wetzel,
sent somebody out.
Wetzel is
With an invalid ID. We don't even know if he's who he say he was. If I go into a building with an invalid ID, they won't let me in. They reject it. So why? You know this. This is public information. So why, if that's not public information, that if I come in with an invalid ID, they don't have to let me in?
Wait a minute, that wasn't the problem anyway. The problem was they said that 3 people could go in
Right.
and sit down.
Right.
And then they changed it.
And then they changed it, you know.
And this officer was ready to screen us and have us sit down.
That
And
officer
some
was
fool-
wrong for saying what he said.
Some fool in here decided to follow some stupid rule and to make you all look like foolish collaborators with a system that makes no sense.
Just like the
So
Nazis.
make me
You have a
understand.
legal
I come
ramifications
tomorrow
for it. You
with a
can-
package I want to deliver, and the 3 of you or any of you are going to stand at the door and reject me with current valid ID, and it says visitor
yeah.
enters. So if I come tomorrow individually with a package to deliver, I am not going to be allowed to enter?
You're asking me to tell the future? I don't know.
Oh, stop the
What are the rules? No, you're telling us, come go to the governor, go this, go that. You gotta tell us what we can do. Don't give us bullshit.
Because it's Mumia. That's all. It's only because it's Mumia. If it was somebody else, it might be a different story.
Who's talking?
It was radio.
I hope it wasn't Mrs. Smith.
So look at this. I come tomorrow with a package to deliver to DOC as an individual. I come in. Whatever is in that package should be received. I don't care if it belonged to Goldie Hody.
Right.
So Officer Cuccia told you that he can't even guarantee at any time, that you'll come in.
So there's
that you'll
no
be
need
allowed
for
in.
an
Right, but it's saying
appointment.
visitors.
So then there's no need for
And I'm coming
an
as an
appointment.
individual.
Yeah, what makes you say that if we got an
Valid
appointment,
ID.
we'd get in? You don't know that.
I don't.
You don't know, you can't predict nothing.
Suzanne,
That's what I
we-
said. I can't predict the future.
If we
You're right.
gave this to
Thank you.
Mr. Smith,
Who don't know that you ain't Jesus?
will we get a receipt for these petitions?
I don't know. You didn't
Well,
ask me. You asked for
well,
Mr. Smith,
but
I brought
here's the
him
thing.
out.
We can't just, how are they not going to go into the trash?
I don't know.
Well, I'm asking you as the supervisor, sorry.
I'm a supervisor
Right,
for the
for the county. So
not for the DOC.
Right, well-
okay,
well-
I don't work for the DOC.
well,
I
can
can't
someone?
tell you what
we
will
would
happen
if we could
DOC.
verify
Can you find out?
that we would get a receipt for this package.
that's really the problem.
Because we don't want people to say,
Find out?
oh well, we didn't get it.
So can you find out?
You asked for me.
See,
to
that's the
bring you out.
balance.
You
Like,
just said you don't work for the DOC, right? So then.
That's correct. I
Okay,
don't.
so
Right,
you don't. So then
sure.
you should be working with us as well, right?
Right.
Especially
you
if
have
it's
the
not
right to
nothing
protest.
Okay, so then if
You
you're
have to
working
do
with
that.
us, then you should go
It
in
doesn't
there and
mean
do
you're
your
allowed
job.
access to the building.
Because we as visitors, we should be allowed access to the
Yeah,
building.
can we just wanna get
Can you?
You asked for Mr.
Right,
Smith.
right.
I brought
and
Mr.
because
Smith
of that,
out.
you're not allowing us.
But the reason why we didn't
So
get
Did you
right now,
talk to
are
Mr.
working
Smith
for the
about getting a
DOC,
receipt
because
for
you're
it?
working for their
I don't know. I wasn't part of that conversation. All I know is you asked me to do something, I did do it for
Sure.
you. And you were supposed to give your petitions. You said you give them to Mr. Smith. If he came out, I got him to come out.
Well, that was before
Beyond
we
that-
were told that 3 of us would be able to go through the screening.
No, that was actually right before he came out
But
this
it came
last
from one of your
time.
people,
Right before
sorry.
he came out this last time, we
It
were
came from
told
one
that
of
we
your
were going to
people.
be able to go inside, 3 people.
I understand what you were told before.
No, not before. When you went to go get
Just
Mr.
now.
Smith, one of your officers
Who was
told
wrong
us
for
as
saying
well.
that?
I'm not sure. These are the numbers.
Okay.
These
All right.
list numbers they don't have.
Well, can
Why?
someone?
Because he
Out
was
of
actually
turn.
trying to speak
No,
to
he
people
spoke out of turn.
and actually allow us to enter a visitor's building where
can
you're
we
actually
verify
telling us that you don't work
a
for the DOC,
receipt
but you're
or a
representing the
timestamp
DOC's best interest
if
right
we
now
give
and
this
not the
to
interest of the
Mr.
people?
This was done. That's all I'm asking. Can they stamp them and give
But
us a
he's
receipt?
wrong.
Feel that.
Can they stamp this package and give us a
I can
receipt?
certainly ask.
Well, that's fine. Can you do this?
Maybe you could go find out whether we get a receipt and send somebody.
That's all. I don't want this to go into the
Send
trash.
somebody.
Turn that, we're
Thank
not gonna turn them in under these conditions.
Yeah, we send somebody with valid ID with authority. A valid ID.
We're calling
We're
your
trying to
boss
petition
right
for
now.
Mumia to get some medical treatment
They act
behind
like
prison,
that's
and we're not even in prison, and this is how
They
they're
act
dealing
like
with
this is
petitions.
breaks or something.
So just imagine what they're trying to do.
We're not giving them their petitions
They
under
won't
these
even
conditions.
receive the damn petition.
One person. No, it's supposed
And we're not
to be-
even in prison. Imagine if we was in prison, how they treat them.
Yes,
They treated us
exactly.
like this. And we're out here.
Visitor entrance
Well, when Wetzel gets these messages from all over the world, we'll see what he says. We'll see what he says, because he's not getting petitions this way. We're not giving them to you.
I'm sorry you weren't here earlier when the whole thing went down because they were ready to take the 3 in. They decided to wait for you. You were going to be one of the 3.
So why couldn't they do it now?
I don't know what happened between then and there.
They
Find out.
I'm saying we
Get some
guys
information,
were down to
brother.
the designated
So why are
area.
you doing something stupid now? If you did something smart before, don't move it to a different level. I know. You're all following what you're told. You're trying to
Had you
get...
been here, I think it would have been taken care of to your demands. And you would have met with Mr. Barnacle to sort out.
Okay, but Mr. Barnacle should have made arrangements for us to come in when he left. He can't just fly the coop and decide that he can just leave that.
Anybody
He had a
would do.
responsibility to make sure we would be received. If he agreed we would be received, he should have said. And also, if he had said, you can't wait, people would have gone in and
Yeah, we
delivered
would've
the
went in with
petitions
him.
without. People
We
would have
told
made
him we were going
adjustments.
across the
He
street.
didn't say that. People waited thinking that it was okay. So, you know, this is the kind of runaround we expect ridiculous bureaucrats to do. These are ridiculous bureaucrats who do things that are inhuman, not understanding what they're doing.
You know something? I just want you to know that I understand about brotherhood, sisterhood, but the fact is that Mumia did not kill or hurt anyone. He wouldn't have done it.
Not in this character.
And not even about character. There's not evidence that actually ties Mumia to that crime.
There's no evidence.
And they hid evidence, and that's why now he has finally, after 37 years, received the right to an appeal. And they had to take him off death row, and the only reason that he got taken off death row is because of manifestations like this, where people who are not going to allow an innocent man to be lynched in the prison system, as so many people have died in those prison systems that are innocent. You know what I mean? So we're standing here for our brother and somebody who is an elder who is fighting for liberation to make this world a better place so that people could actually live freely, dignified lives. And you're all standing here basically telling us, like, we know how this system works. We know that you don't have the people's interest at heart, because if that was the case, then we would not be living under these slavery conditions, okay? So we're very well aware of that. But the fact that you can't even put on the facade, the fact that there is not one official in that building, right, that is being funded by all of these people here, right, that work enslaved for y'all to have a job, and for you to be able to feed your families, but we can't fight for our families, and you won't sit with us for 5 minutes? 5 minutes? You can't have
That's
one
very
person in that
disrespectful.
big ass building in there. There's not 3 people, not 1 person, not 2 people. Nobody can come and very respectfully have us go inside, receive these petitions on the record.
That's all they had to do. They're making something so simple, so hard.
Visitor's interest, so
And it's so sad, because look, you're a law enforcer, and you see your hands are crossed, and all you can do is kind of smirk and go like this and shrug, because you know you have no power. And that's the sad part. You're out here enforcing all this shit, terrorizing people, right? So many people have been murdered by law enforcers, and the reality is that you don't fight for the people. He's over here the sergeant. Oh, don't lump me in with these guys. I don't have much power. I don't work for the DOC. If you don't work for the DOC, why is he right now fighting so hard to protect the DOC and the fact that they don't want to do their job?
Wetzel, you putting your ass on notice. There will be no place that you can walk at that we will not come to and demonstrate and turn that motherfucker out.
That's right.
We are sick and tired of playing games with y'all.
And
we have come here in peace, collected petitions, let you know that we were coming, doing things the right way, demanding to turn them over so that you can look at them. And listen, the complaint that we had about Dr. Rogers, your DOC doctor, the doctor that's been working on Mumia, this doctor, Mumia's eyes went blind under this doctor's care, Dr. Rogers. And what did he do?
Watch yourself.
Dr. Rogers lied to Mumia and said that we were calling where he's going to have his operation at least 25 calls a day. We don't even know where the hell this operation going to be at. We wouldn't jeopardize Mumia, not at all. What we're doing is asking and demanding that these petitions and our complaint about Dr. Rogers, who Mumia's in his care, if Mumia did not listen to himself and pull himself off of steroids, that's when he started beginning to see again. We want to let Mr. Wetzel know about this. We didn't have to see Wetzel. We could have talked with someone in authority under him. But when we're confronted and blocked,
His ID was proper.
and his ID was invalid, gonna come with us with some 2018. You say what you gotta say. Come on, say it.
They said that
Talk loud.
they saying now that the ID wasn't invalid. It was issued in 2018.
We don't care.
Bullshit.
We don't care. Even if it was, it has nothing to do.
And so was mine issued at a certain time. But what they have is when your thing is up. It said 2018. You know, that's crap. You know, that don't, you know,
And
we
it still said staff.
We don't
Staff
accept
didn't even
that.
give who he was.
And I
No.
repeat, let's Wetzel read the decision of the courts the other day that said Mumia was deliberately denied treatment when he was sick for 2 years with hepatitis C. I repeat, he almost died. If it hadn't been for us coming to places like this and thousands of people around the world speaking up and saying that was unacceptable, Mumia would be dead today. And so we are here to save Mumia's vision and life and to have him released because he's not safe in the hands of the Department of Correction. I repeat, he's not safe with Wetzel in charge of a department like this.
So we came here to complain. Number one, take the petitions. Number one, to complain about Dr. Rogers. Under Dr. Rogers' care, the steroids was administered to Mumia. Dr. Rogers didn't have sense enough to take Mumia off the steroids. Mumia took himself off of steroids. He's not the doctor. We've been saying for the longest, these people are trying to kill Mumia. The next thing that Dr. Rogers did last week, he went to Mumia, told Mumia that the movement, we've been calling him and we've been calling the DOC. We say what we do. We would never call the facility if we knew where Mumia is getting the treatment at. We would never call that facility and put any pressure on them when Mumia is going to go up under them. Our pressure has always been on this government. It never went after the doctors with the hepatitis C at the hospitals. It was always directed there. Now, what Dr. Rogers said, that the facility that is going to be taking care of Mumia's eyes, he said that they said, you know, they're feeling some kind of way. They might not want to deal with him there. And I'm saying over a lie. And I'm saying we got the right to let Wetzel know. We got the right to let whoever that's under him that's in authority, you know, to do something about this. That's why we here. And I'm saying we're leaving now, but it's not over. And again, Wetzel, wherever you, I'm saying we're gonna find out wherever you be at, because it's reported, and you can look for one of these powerful demonstrations, because we know ain't no power like the power of the people when the power of the people don't stop.